ready, your colored pencils and your crayons. Class will begin in a moment. So I hope everyone had a very restful fall break, that we're back alive, awake, and alert, and enthusiastic to learn. Today, we're going to be doing a lot of drawing today, as we're going to take a visit into the stratosphere. Unfortunately, I don't own a magic school bus like Miss Frizzle, so we can't go fly to look at the atmosphere, but we are going to be able to draw some diagrams today, some scientific diagrams, where you're going to be able to not only identify parts of the ozone layer that help us as humans to live on Earth comfortably, but also the greenhouse effect. We're going to be able today to develop and use models to show us how the ozone layer functions and the greenhouse effect works. So let's go ahead and get started with class. I'm going to go ahead and take over your screen. And I don't remember if we looked at this in our notes, but we want to make sure we have in our notebooks the question, the ozone layer, what's the purpose of our ozone layer? And so the purpose of our ozone layer, give me a second, guys. Someone just came in. I want to get them in. So the purpose of our ozone layer is to absorb harmful radiation from the sun. Okay? So the purpose of our ozone layer is to absorb harmful radiation from the sun. To absorb, and remember, absorb means to soak up, to absorb harmful radiation from the sun. This lesson is being recorded, so I don't want you to draw this picture right now, but you'll definitely need to have this picture in your notebook. Remember last time we looked at this picture, we talked about labeling this. There we go. Labeling this as our Earth. Okay. It's not necessary for us to have the factories and mountains and cars and trees in our picture yet. This green layer here is our troposphere. And the blue and green layers here are our stratosphere. And it's important for us to know, and we're going to add this to our notes, that the upper part of our stratosphere is where our ozone layer is found, okay? So we want to make sure we write that in our notes too, big mark. The ozone layer is found in the stratosphere, in the upper parts of our stratosphere. If you want to start on the drawing right now, that might be a good idea. We're going to stay here for a second so you can get some of the picture done. Okay, it's found in the upper part of our stratosphere. So someone would please turn on their mic and let us know. Do you think that the ozone layer would be a hot place in the stratosphere or a cold place in our stratosphere?
Hot.
Think about what the job of the ozone layer is.
Hot.
Yeah, very good. Go ahead and turn your mics off. Yeah, so our ozone layer is very, very hot because of its job. Its job is to absorb harmful radiation. That's what these waves are, harmful radiation. And then it not only absorbs some of it, let's add to that definition, it absorbs and reflects harmful radiation from our sun. So some of that radiation shown by these, oh snap, sorry y'all. Some of the radiation shown in these waves here are going to be absorbed, soaked up by the ozone layer, and others of them will be bounced back or reflected. So let's start talking about our greenhouse effect. Our greenhouse effect. Please write that in your notes, the greenhouse effect. And you'll need a full page to draw your pictures today. You'll need a full page to draw your pictures today. Students who just joined, you are late, so you will need to watch this recorded lesson after class to get the notes that you've missed. Please mute yourself. Thank you. The greenhouse effect. So before we write down a definition of what the greenhouse effect is, we want to make sure we draw a picture of that greenhouse effect. Here I'm drawing a rough picture of our Earth, and I do mean rough. And we're going to label this as our Earth. We then are going to have our troposphere here. Remember, that's the layer closest to our Earth. Then we're going to have a thinner layer. That's our stratosphere. And at the very top of our stratosphere, where that dotted line is, this is our ozone layer. That dotted line there is our ozone layer. Now, when the sun's radiation, heat waves, let's make that a little bit bigger. When the sun's radiation, guys, anything you see Miss Neville drawing, you'll need to draw as well. The sun is much larger than our Earth. When our sun, when that radiation, I'm drawing it as waves. Remember, radiation is heat waves. When the sun's radiation begins to come towards our Earth, it's important for us to know that some of this radiation is going to be absorbed. That means soaked up. Other parts of that radiation is going to be reflected back. That means it's gonna bounce back. But then some of that radiation will be allowed to come in. Yeah, the ozone layer allows some of that radiation to come in. What we just drew here, what's happening here, this is the greenhouse effect. The greenhouse effect. It's important for us to know that the greenhouse effect is the heating, is the Earth's natural way of putting on a sweater. What I mean by that is the greenhouse effect naturally warms our Earth using the ozone layer. The green, just like a greenhouse would be where you house plants, inside of that greenhouse is going to be much warmer in there because it's trapping some of that heat. So we need to make sure we know here that the greenhouse effect is, I want to give you some time to get this picture drawn, guys. So the greenhouse effect is the trapping reflecting, and absorbing of heat from the sun to warm and protect our Earth. And guys, this is using that ozone layer. That's why that ozone layer is so very important, okay? Take some time to finish this picture. We'll be moving on in a second. Ms. Neville's going to give you 3 more minutes to finish this picture. Remember, anything you don't finish, this lesson is being recorded, so you'll be able to get it from the recorded lesson. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on. In the last part of our notes today, In the last part of our notes today, we're going to discuss the ozone layer is harmed. So when we're talking about our ozone layer and we're now thinking about how important it is, what if I were to tell you that there is a huge hole that is forming in our ozone layer? Yeah, I'm going to show you some pictures here. And there's a huge hole that's forming currently in our ozone layer. Oh man. So I want us to look at this picture, and I'm going to put it in our slideshow, but we're not going to draw this picture. Once again, I'm not requiring that you draw this picture here, but I do want us to look at this diagram of our ozone layer. And someone turn on their mics and tell me what you see happening.
Throughout the years, it's getting bigger.
Yeah, don't we see that hole getting larger? And right now, this hole in the ozone layer, go ahead and turn your mic off. Thank you. Right now, that hole was right above the Arctic. So it was in the North Pole, okay, that North Polar region. And it was up here. And what we're seeing happen here is glaciers that are hundreds and thousands of years old are melting. We're going to talk a little bit tomorrow about why that's a bad thing. We're also going to talk about some things that could be happening on Earth that are causing the hole in that ozone layer to spread, as we see here. So in our notes, the final question that we're going to write down today that we're going to work to answer tomorrow is, what activities on Earth are causing the ozone layer harmed? Take some time to write down that question, and we're going to work to answer it tomorrow. We're going to end class with us talking about what your assignments are. It's important for you to know that there are no new assignments being assigned today. I'm going to be sending you an email with our weekly schedule, what our weekly schedule will look like, so that you're prepared for class for the rest of this week. And so I want to give you some time to finish writing this down, and then we're going to go on into what your assignments are for today. Okay, so I'll wait for these kids to get in. All right, children who just got to class. Children who just came to class, you are late, and so class is basically over. What I want you to do is to